Well, bilang abogado, if I may be allowed, clearly, ang merong, at the very least, ang dapat may pananagutan dun, yung pumeke, rather than si Ginoong Gutesa.
Sino po ngayon ang magnanais pa na lumabas, kahit may nalalaman siya, na tumulong para matuntun natin kung sino may kasalanan? Walang iniwan sa isang tao na pumunta sa barangay, Mr. President. Nagsumbong. Yung pong taong yon, Mr. Barangay Captain, magnanakaw po yun ang kalabaw. Alam po ninyo kung sino yung diniscredit, kung sino yung inusig. Yung nagsumbong na may magnanakaw ng kalabaw. Yung magnanakaw ng kalabaw, hindi man lang. So ako pa pala ngayon ay masasangkot sa falsification dahil sa aking paniwalang totoong sinasabi ng mama na ito, pumunta ka roon kung buwang loob mo, pero panutaryo mo yan, dagdag na kumpiyansa para sa akin. Ako pang nalintikan, Mr. President. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President. Mr. President, kamakailan lamang po ay merong isang tao na naging controversial dahil sa kanyang ginawang pagtestigo dito sa Blue Ribbon Committee. Ang pangalan niya po ay Orly Gutesa. Si Orly Gutesa po, kagaya po ng nalalaman na ng marami, kung hindi man lahat, he testified before the Blue Ribbon Committee and he was the only one who was able to connect the dots between Saldico and Martin Romualdez. He chose to present himself before the committee, took his oath, and he allowed himself to be interpellated by the members of the Blue Ribbon Committee. This representation thought that that was the thing to be done. Pagkatapos po noon, Mr. President, yung mga tao na ang paniwala nila ay hindi dapat pakinggan yung statement sapagkat obviously pinuprotection na nila yung mga pangalan na nabanggit doon, ay gumawa sila ng paraan para discredit yung mama, meaning Orly Gutesa. Nagsimula po sila na hanapan ng butas yung nagnotaryo doon sa dokumento. Sa akin pong palagay, Mr. President, naging mutin academic yung notaryo sapagkat yung testigo humarap naman. Maghapon na nandito po kasama natin testigo at sinagot lahat ang mga tanong sa kanya. Ngunit hindi po sila nagkasya doon. Talagang pinagsikapan nila sa pagitan ng pag-disown nung notary public ng kanyang alleged signature. Mr. President, gusto ko pong malaman ngayon, hindi po ba kalakaran na yung mga nagpapanotaryo, ibibigay lang po yung dokumentong gusto nilang ipanotaryo sa opisina ng kanilang pinuntahan at kung magkano man ang bayad na hihingin sa kanila, magbabayad po at kukunin na nila yung notaryo o yung dokumentong pinanotaryo. Hindi po ba ganun ang kalakaran, Mr. President?
That is correct, Mr. President. Kinakailangan ng personal appearance ng affiant.
Ganun nga po ang ginawa niya, Mr. President. At kung titingnan po natin sa mga matataong lugar, for example, the vicinity of a city hall, doon po dikit-dikit po ang mga opisinang nagnonotaryo. Meron pa nga pong nasa jeep na nagnonotaryo. Pangkaraniwan po bang nangyayari, Mr. President, na yun po nagpapanotaryo bago siya umalis ay pipilitin niyang puntahan yung inaakala niyang nagnotaryo at sasabihin niya, "Ma'am, sir, pasensya na po kayo. Gusto ko lamang pong malaman kung talaga kayo po ang pumirma dito sa dokumentong ninotaryo ninyo." Nangyayari po ba yun? Sinisiguro po ba nung nagpanotaryo, bago siya umalis, na yung inaakala niyang nagnotaryo sa kanyang dokumento ay siya nga? At nire-require po ba niya na talagang patunayan ng nagnotaryo na pirma niya nga talaga yung nasa dokumento?
Well, base sa personal kong karanasan, mayroong assumption ang nagpapanotaryo na talagang yung nagnotaryo ay mayroong komisyon. Hindi ho kickback. Ibig sabihin, notarial commission. May authority. So, I agree na hindi practice yung ang nagpapanotaryo, tatanungin pa yung nagnonotaryo, ikaw ba talaga itong pumipirma? In fact, kabaliktaran. Ang notaryo nagtatanong dun sa pipirma, ikaw ba talaga ito dahil kailangan mong humarap sa akin?
Salamat po sa inyong kasagutan. Totoo po yun. Lalong-lalo na po kung yung dokumentong sinasabi nila na pinalsipika ay meron naman pong notarial details. Ang ibig sabihin po, merong stampad na ginamit na kung saan po sinusulatan yung mga detalye ng notaryo at meron pa pong parte doon na kung saan ilalagay mo yung numero ng dokumento, yung pahina, pati po yung bilang ng Book of Registry. Yung pong dokumento ni Gutesa, Mr. President, pag sinalat mo po, meron po kasi akong kopya. Meron pong dry seal eh. Ang ibig po bang sabihin, Mr. President, si Gutesa, kinakailangan pa niyang maghanap o mag-imbento ng stampad para sa notarial details at saka yung lugar ng opisina na kung saan i-stamp mo doon? Manghihiram o magnanakaw kaya siya ng isang dry seal? Paano gagawin ng isang ordinaryong taong pumunta sa isang notarial office na hanapin lahat ito? Saan niya kukunin yung notarial number? Saan niya kukunin yung book number, yung page number? Ano po ang mapapala ng isang nagpapanotaryo kung pepekehin niya yung notaryo? Sir President, sa ordinaryong pangyayari po kailangan pa bang gawin ng isang Orly Gutesa yun? Yung ipeke niya yung... O paano niyang gagawin? Anong capacity ng isang ordinaryong tao na hanapin lahat yun? Sa konting oras na natitira sa kanya dahil kinabukasan kailangan makarating siya rito para personal siyang tetestigo. Ano po ang mapapala, Mr. President, ni Orly Gutesa kung ang kukunin niyang notaryo ay peke?
Well, bilang abogado, if I may be allowed, clearly, ang merong at the very least, ang dapat may pananagutan dun, yung pumeke, rather than si Ginoong Gutesa. In good faith, the way I see it, no, I could be mistaken dahil hindi naman natin nakausap personal si Mr. Gutesa. So this is really more speculative. In good faith, pumasok siya ron, sinabi, magpapanotaryo, pinirmahan ni Ginoong Gutesa. At yun na nga, may stamp, may signature, may date, etc. So, kung merong may pananagutan dun, yung nameke. Kung totoo ng peke. At base ata sa findings ng executive judge ng RTC Branch 18 ay yung signature nga nung Espera ay falsified. So, yung nag-falsify nung signature, yan, may pananagutan po.
Salamat po sa inyong sagot, Mr. President. Pangkaraniwan po kasi, sa haba, sa dami ng mga nagnunotaryo, hindi naman po talaga yung abogada ang pumipirma. Karaniwan po, meron silang staff, meron silang secretary, na sila lang ang pumipirma para sa kanilang principal. Palagay ko po ito, Mr. President, ay pangkaraniwan ang nangyayari. Ang biro nga po ngayon yung notarial services na nangyayari sa ating bansa already transitioned into a cottage industry. Tama po ba yung observation, Mr. President?
In practice po, maaaring ang sabihin na nangyayari yan. Pero hindi pa rin sabihin na nating legal. In other words, yung pagde-delegate ng notarial services sa isang staff is against the law. At according to our clerk, our court administrator, mayroong isinasagawang spot checking. Sino?
Ang executive judge, Carl.
Ang executive judge
Ng Maynila.
ng Maynila para madetermina kung talagang maayos yung dokumento, yung notarial registry ng mga notary, yung mga commission, notarial commissions.
Kaya ko po binibigyan ng emphasis ito, Mr. President. Yung kahalagahan po ng kanyang sworn statement, kahit na po yung ating chair ng Blue Ribbon Committee, paulit-ulit niyang sinabi na yung relevance nung testimony ni Gutesa na ginawa sa harap mismo ng committee ay nananatiling valid sapagkat pinanumpaan niya before the committee. Ngunit, ang nakakabagabag nga po, Mr. President, bakit pinipilit na ibaling sa isang bagay na hindi naman yun ang punto ng pinag-uusapan? Naging moot and academic na po, ngunit pilit na ibinabalik. At ang nangyari nga po, sa takot ng Gutesa siguro, na siya po ay kakasuhan ng perjury, kakasuhan ng falsification, wala naman po siyang kinalaman at wala siyang kapasidad para gawin yun. Unang-una, wala po siyang motibo. Ang totoo po niyan, ako lamang po ang nagsabi sa kanya, ipanotaryo mo yan, Mr. Gutesa, kasi hindi man kita kilala eh. Parang karagdagang assurance lang sa akin na yung kanyang statement ay talagang ginawa niya ng buong buo sa kanyang sarili. Kahit na wala yun, tatanggapin ko naman yun eh. Sasabihin ko lang, o sige, kung talagang buo ang loob mo, Mr. President, sinabi ko po sa kanya, pumunta ka ron. Buo ang loob mo at totoo lahat ang sinabi mo, pumunta ka doon. Ganun nga po yung ginawa niya. Sa makatwid, ang akin pong gustong ipunto, kahit wala yung notaryo eh. Bakit po doon nila pilit? Doon nila pinipilit na ibaling ang pinag-uusapan. Para lamang po, para lang makaiwas, para ilihis, para linlangin ang maraming Pilipino. Ito po yung nakakalungkot dito. Si Gutesa po, nilagay niya sa panganib ang kanyang buhay at ang buhay ng kanyang pamilya. Gutesa has nothing to gain. Gutesa has everything to lose. Siguro po, sa kanyang puso inisip niya, inasahan niya, natutulungan siya ng Estado na proteksyonan man lang siya. Dahil sa kanyang ginawa, para matulungan ang Estado, i-prosecute kung sino talaga ang may kasalanan sa malaganap at kasuklam-suklam na iskandal na ginawa ng mga taong kasangkot dito. Pero wala po eh. Wala siyang nahita. Despite his courageous testimony before the Blue Ribbon Committee, he did not get even the courtesy that he deserves. Alam po ninyo, Mr. President, sa kagustuhan ko po na kahit papano, may saayos kung talagang sino ba yung nagnunotaryo na yun? Kung hindi man pirma ng notaryo publiko, meron at meron siyang kinakasangkapan para pumirma sa kanya. Sumulat po ako sa ating court administrator na sana po ang representasyong ito ay makahingi man lang ng mga samples ng mga na-dokumento, ng mga notaryong dokumento ng abogada na ating pinag-uusapan. Ginran po yung aking letter request ng court administrator. Nahingi po kasi ako ng sample, kahit na 3 samples lang po sa bawat buwan, mula Enero hanggang Agosto ng 2025. Ang masakit lamang po na nangyari, Mr. President, at gusto ko po bigyan ninyo ng opinion, kung pwede, kung tama ang ginawa ng executive judge. Ang sabi po niya, siya ang magdidesisyon kung ano ang sample na ibibigay sa aking opisina. Do you think, Mr. President, the executive judge committed grave abuse of discretion?
Yes. According to the court administrator, the executive judge submitted 3 samples,
Sample documents.
and that and therefore they deem it as a compliance. Now, if additional documents may be requested, then the court administrator is willing to likewise allow such access to these
Subject to the
documents.
rule on data privacy.
Yes, subject to the rule on data privacy.
Mr. President, ang tinatanong ko po, siya po ba ang magdidesisyon kung aling kopya ang ibibigay sa amin? Kasi po yun ang kanyang desisyon eh. Pinapunta ko po yung aking mga staff doon. 3 sila sapagkat alam ko marami pong dokumento ang nandoon sa kanyang mga notarial books. Mga 8 buwan po ang ating hinihingi. So 3, marami po yun. Ang sabi po ng clerk of court, ng RTC, sinabi raw po ng judge na, I will decide which copy is to be submitted to the office of the senator. Tama po ba yun? Wala po bang kalayaan ang mga staff ko na sila na po ang pumili? Ang balak ko lamang naman po doon na, Mr. President, establish namin, sapagkat alam namin, mayroong kamuka sa kalipunan po ng mga dokumentong ninotaryo, makakita lang kami 3 hanggang 10 na kamuka nung pirma na ibinigay kay Gutesa, na-establish namin talaga, hindi si Gutesa ang nameke. Talagang merong pumipirma para sa kanya. That is the only objective. But we were denied. We were denied of that purpose, Mr. President. Doon po ba sa sulat ng Office Administrator, Court Administrator, sinabi po ba niya na ang mamimili po ng sample na ibibigay sa amin ay yung mismong judge? Nakalagay po ba? Nandito po kasi sa akin yung kopya ng sulat ng Office of the Court Administrator granting our letter request.
Yeah, according to the court administrator, the executive judge has custody over notarial documents. Yes, through the OCC.
Office of the Clerk of Court.
Yes, the Office of the Clerk of Court. And therefore, having custody of these notarial documents, they therefore have the authority and discretion to decide which of these notarial documents, if 3 were requested, then they have authority to decide which of the 3. Now, if 20 were requested, or all documents were requested, then there would be no discretion, and this could be made available, subject to the law on data privacy.
Mr. President, ang inihingi lang po namin ay yung kalayaang makita namin ang mga dokumento. Para sa ganun po makumpara namin, makita namin mula doon sa mga notarial books niya at sa mga dokumentong ninotaryo kung wala ngang isa man lang doon nakamuka o kagaya nung pumirma o pirma doon sa dokumentong daladala ni Gutesa. Yun lang po yung objective eh. Kasi po pagka kinontrol ng judge, nasa kanyang control talaga sapagkat napagtibay nila talaga doon sa kanyang naunang order na hindi nga pirma ng abogado. Naniniwala naman po tayo doon eh. Pangkaraniwan kasi hindi naman yung abogado ang pumipirma eh. So chances are, the one assigned to be there in that office, kung sino man yon, the notary public allowed him or her to sign for her. Sa mga kapatid, hindi talaga pirma niya yon. Kaya po, ang aming objective, kaya ako humihingi ng sample, kaya ako pinapunta yung aking mga staff, para kami na yung humanap, makahanap man lang kami, nakagaya nung pirma na yon. At alam namin, meron kaming makikita. But for the judge to insist that she will be the one to select, natural lang, pipiliin niya yung hindi kagaya nung pirma kay Gutesa. I think that is very understandable, Mr. President.
I share the concern of the good senator, and because of this, I clarified with our court administrator. Actually, access to all the documents, provided that it is under supervision of the clerk of court, your staff this may be granted. Access to all the records, provided that the clerk of court is there to supervise and to monitor the going through these documents. Good senator.
Ayun na po yung iniisip ko ngayon, Mr. President. Total, nandiyan naman po yung Office of the Court Administrator. Pwede po bang yung mismong libro na ang makita ng mga staff namin mula Enero hanggang September 2025? Ma-examine lamang po.
Yes, according to the court administrator, with proper coordination, access to these documents can be granted, provided that it is under the supervision of the clerk of court and the executive judge. In other words, ilalapag dyan yung mga dokumento, yung notarial book, nariyan si executive judge, nandan ang inyong staff, nandyan yung clerk of court, at pwede pong busisiin itong at i-inspect itong mga libro na ito.
Yun po kasi, Mr. President, ang pinakiusap namin para madali lang at makatulong din naman kami dahil marami namang gawain ng RTC. Nandun po yung 3 staff ko, nakabantay yung clerk of court, titingnan lamang po.
And according to the court of administrator, they will allow such access. Siguro nag-iingat lang yung executive judge at she confined the inspection to the, as requested, 3 documents. But having said that, the court administrator now is saying that yes, access to all these records can be made available upon the request, provided that the executive judge and the clerk of court is there as your staff go through the books and subject to the Data Privacy Act.
So, Mr. President, salamat po ron. Pwede po ba naming assume ngayon na kahit bukas, kahit nawala po kaming sulat na po sa Office of the Court Administrator, siguro po kayo na ang magno-notify sa kanila na bukas po ay pupunta po yung mga staff namin para ganun ang gawin natin.
Kahit daw po mamaya, basta office hours, pwede na daw po.
Bukas na po, nakakahiya naman po at nagmamadali tayong masyado. Bukas na po siguro, pinakamaganda na po yun.
Just that there is coordination with the court.
Opo, sana wag naman nilang itago sapagkat baka pag tinago po nila, magkakaroon po tayo ng malaking problema.
Ang ina-assure po tayo ng court administrator na hindi naman daw po dahil naroon lang daw po yun.
Salamat po, Mr. President.
Maraming salamat.
Ito po yung excerpt kasi ng resolution po ng executive judge. Kaya nakakapagbigay po ng iba yung pagdududa sa representasyong ito. Ang pinag-uusapan lang po ron. Ang core issue lamang po whether or not pirma niya yun o hindi. At kung kinakailangan maproteksyonan yung integridad ng notarial service. Pero nagpakahaba-haba po yung yung executive judge. To reiterate, sabi niya po, in view of the fact that the sinumpaang salaysay contains spurious notarial details. Assuming na mayroon pong kakayahan si Gutesa na siya po yung mag-i-stamp ng ganun. And a forged notary signature, and further considering that the said affidavit was presented during the Blue Ribbon public hearing, this office finds that its presenter, Mr. Gutesa, and all persons who made use of said documents not only introduced the forged and notarized sinumpang salaysay, but also actively participated in its falsification. Sana po kayo nakakitang order na gano'n? Ako po yung nagpresente. So ako pa pala ngayon ay masasangkot sa falsification dahil sa aking paniwalang totoong sinasabi ng mama na ito, pumunta ka roon kung buwang loob mo, pero panutaryo yan, dagdag na kumpiyansa para sa akin. Ako pang nalintikan, Mr. President. Sabi pa po niya, the above-mentioned statement is an excerpt from the resolution, and ito po pala, pasensya na po. Succinctly, it is an established rule, well buttressed upon reason, that in the absence of a satisfactory explanation when a person has in his possession or control a falsified document and who makes use of the same, the presumption of inference is justified that such person is the forger or the one who caused the forgery and is therefore guilty of falsification. Mr. President, the above statement is an excerpt from the resolution of RTC Manila Executive Judge Carolina Icasiano Sison. The resolution further states that aside from Mr. Gutesa, sabi po niya, all persons who made use of said documents not only introduced the forged and notarized sinumpang salaysay, but also actively participated in its falsification. Yung sinabi ko po kanina. Did the judge abuse her discretion?
Well, according to the court administrator, it is their view that no, because there is a presumption of regularity. And if I may, well, I was listening to the good senator. Sabi kasi absent the facts, absent the evidence to the contrary, no? Or information to the contrary. Mukhang ang, based on your explanation now and your narration, mukhang may absent nga dun sa information na which led to that ruling. That is my personal opinion as a lawyer. But according to the court administrator, because there is a presumption of regularity, then there was no abuse of discretion.
Saan po ibinase yung presumption of regularity, Mr. President? All persons who made use of said documents do not only introduce the forged and unauthorized sinumpang salaysay, but also actively participated in its falsification. Tinawag ba niya ako doon o yung mga taong nag-present ng document na yon? Wala po. Ang totoo po niyan, this representation requested a copy of her resolution. Hindi po niya ako binigyan. Ang sinabi po niya, you are not party to the case. Who is party to the case, Mr. President? Ang sabi pa po niya, she gave a copy to the Blue Ribbon Committee. So this representation, nagpakuha po, nag-request sa Blue Ribbon Committee. Sabi ng Blue Ribbon Committee, we have no copy of that resolution. So sino po binigyan niya? Regular po ba yun? Where is the presumption of regularity here? Sabi niya, hindi ako party. Hindi ko naman sinabing party po ako, but party po ako ng Blue Ribbon Committee. And I am a senator of the Republic. Hindi man lang ako bigyan ng resolution. What is so secret? What is so spectacular about this resolution? Bakit po? Why did she lie na binigyan niya Blue Ribbon Committee only to know that she did that? And then we presume that there is regularity in her action. Why? Mr. President.
Well, according to the court administrator, the executive judge, they would assume knows her responsibilities, is aware of her role, her responsibility, and the authority given to her as custodian of these said documents. And that's where the presumption of regularity of her actions kick in, Mr. President.
Mr. President, the presumption is disputable, isn't it?
Definitely. It's just a presumption.
We are disputing the presumption, Mr. President. Napakarami ko pong sinabi. We were only asking for samples within which to compare the signature in Gutesa's document. Siya pa ang mag-select until we were given now the right to examine all this. We requested for a resolution, a copy of a resolution. Ayaw po niya akong bigyan because I am not a party to it. Who is the party? I checked with the intermediary of Gutesa. Ang sabi sa kanyang resolution, meron daw po subpoena kay Gutesa. The family said there was no notice, there was no subpoena that reached our residence. Ito po ang nangyayari. May problema po ba tayo, Mr. President? Dapat po siguro tinutulungan natin ang mga taong nagkukusa para tumulong, para hanapin ang katotohanan. Kahit na malagay sa alanganin, sa panganib ang kanyang buhay. Pero anong nakuha niya? Sino po ngayon ang magnanais pa na lumabas kahit may nalalaman siya na tumulong para matuntun natin kung sino may kasalanan? Walang iniwan sa isang tao na pumunta sa barangay, Mr. President. Nagsumbong. Yung pong taong yun, Mr. Barangay Captain, magnanakaw po yun ang kalabaw. Alam po ninyo kung sino yung diniscredit, kung sino yung inusig. Yung nagsumbong na may magnanakaw ng kalabaw. Yung magnanakaw ng kalabaw, hindi man lang
Mr. President, I share the frustration of Senator Marcoleta. I remember the case of the ZTE NBN, wherein the whistleblower ended up being the one convicted. And yes, this is most unfortunate when instances wherein those who are who wish to testify or witnesses suffer such a unfortunate situation.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court time and again has admonished notaries who fully entrusted the notarization process to their office secretaries, like what happened here, and has even deemed it as gross negligence on their part, as in the case of Castello versus Ching, AC number 11165, February 6, 2017. Ang sabi po ng Korte Suprema ay ganito: gross negligence on the part of a notary public encompasses the failure to observe any of the requirements of a notarial act under the 2004 rules of notarial service, notarial practice, which would result in putting the rights of a person to his liberty or property in jeopardy. This includes, among others, failing to require the presence of the signatories to a notarial instrument and ascertaining their identities through competent evidence thereof, and allowing knowingly or unknowingly people other than notary public himself to sign notarial documents, affix the notarial seal therein, and make entries in the notarial register. This is what exactly happened. This notary public allowed their signature to be signed by others, to use their notarial seal by others, and make entries in the notarial register. Hindi siya mismo. Isipin po niyo yung lugar niya. Pinakunan namin ng litrato. Ano po yung nakapaskel doon sa isang maliit na opisina na yun? Tabi ng kalsada. Dikit-dikit ang mga notarial offices. Alam po ba niyo yung nakalagay na sign? Affidavit. Notarial affidavit. 24/7. So, hindi na natutulog yung abogada ron kung siya nga yung nandun. Ilan na pong mga notaryo publiko ang na-admonish o kaya nasuspindi o kaya nasira, inalis sa notarial practice, Mr. President. Kasi po ang kanilang mga sekretarya na lang o mga staff ang talagang, yun naman po ang nangyayari, kaalakaran na po yun eh. I think even the Supreme Court can take judicial notice of this particular industry.
Our apologies, good Senator. I was just clarifying a matter regarding whether or not Attorney Espera did delegate. Of course, that is a accusation or a allegation, rather, and if proved to be true, then definitely Espera should be held to account for that, and therefore perhaps one's route should be to ask to have Attorney Espera, the notarial, the notary public, to explain whether or not she in fact did that. Of course.
Kasi po, Mr. President, yung ninotaryohan na kontrata ng PESA, ganun din po yung pirma. Si Attorney Romy Macalintal. Nung makita niya po yung dokumento ni Gutesa na yung pirma ganun, kapareho din ito yung mga ipinresent nila rito, yung intervenor sa isang barangay. Ang dami po nito. Kapareho din po yun eh. Kaya po, tinatanong ko, ilan na po yung nasuspindi kaya? Ilan na yung na-reprimand? Ilan na yung kinastigo ng Korte Suprema? Baka naman po, mangilan-ngilan lang. Kaya po siguro naging cottage industry na po ito eh. Gaano po tayo kaingat yung pagbabantay sa ganitong mga ginagawa ng ating mga abogadong nagnonotaryo po, Mr. President?
according to the court administrator, marami na raw na suspend, no? Notary public dahil dito sa ganitong mga hindi tamang mga kilos at very serious ang Korte Suprema sa ganitong mga usapin when it comes to notarial commissions and such acts, such malpractices.
Gano'n na po kaya karami, Mr. President? Kasi po kung ibabatay natin sa mga notary publics na nagkalat na po, parang mga kabuti na nagsulputan sa napakaraming mga lugar, lalong-lalo na po sa mga mataong lugar. Ganyan lang po sa City Hall po, wag na tayong lumayo, makikita po ninyo yung dikit-dikit na nagnunotaryo na wala po kayong makikitang abogado ron. Yung iba po, itatakbo pa nga sa isang skinita, pagkatapos hintayin mo ako riyan. Pagkatapos mong magbayad ng kauulang halaga, tsaka niya ibabalik sa'yo. Gano'n po karami?
Wala daw po ngayon, right now, ang numero. They will be submitting.
So, Mr. President, ina-assume po natin yung dami po ng nagnunotaryo ngayon na dikit-dikit sa paligid ng mga city halls ng ating bansa. Lahat po ba yon ang pumipirma yung mga abogado?
Under the law and the commission, dapat.
Dapat
Now,
po.
Yes.
Pero sa nangyayari, sa totoong buhay, sila po ba yung nandoon na nagnunotaryo, Mr. President?
Well, dapat din under the law, pero yung realidad,
Hindi po, hindi ba?
maaaring ang merong dinedelegate.
Yun nga po eh. Si Gutesa ay biktima po rito. Siya po yung nabiktima rito. Pero siya ngayon ang kakasuhan ng falsification, ng perjury. Ang tanging kasalanan niya ay lumabas lamang at nagpasya para tulungan ng Estado hanapin kung sino ang utak ng makawalang hiyang nangyari sa ating bansa. Mr. President, mag-iba naman po tayo ng area. Medyo na-high blood po si Congressman Sherwin. Kapag kaibigan ko po kasi yan, pagka yan hindi kumikibo, ako po medyo kinakabahan. Senator pala, pasensya ka na. Ako na high blood hata. Kamakailan po ay nagpalabas po at nag-approve ang ating Korte Suprema, Mr. President, ng Rules on Extradition Proceedings, which I think took effect on November 10, 2025. Tama po ba yun, Mr. President?
That is correct, Senator Marcoleta.
May I know, Mr. President, that, or do these rules apply only when there is an existing extradition treaty between the Philippines and the requesting state?
That the court administrator says yes, answers in the affirmative.
In the absence of an extradition treaty, Mr. President, is there any legal process that the Philippines may rely on to surrender a Filipino citizen?
Apart from a treaty between two states, if there are conventions that we are party to as a member state, such as
So the lack of it, Mr. President, completely bar any form of extradition or surrender by implication.
by way of extradition, yes.
Okay. The rules refer to a requesting state with whom the Philippines has an extradition treaty. If the requesting entity is not a state per se, Mr. President, such as the international tribunals, o sabihin na natin ICC, do these rules still apply?
Strictly speaking, no, because the ICC is not a state.
So where do we stand now? Because ICC is not a state, and we have our own constitution. And there is, for example, a warrant of arrest issued by the ICC But under our Constitution, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty of property without due process of law. Which will prevail, the ICC or our own Constitution?
Yes, as earlier manifested by the court administrator, the extradition treaty, the extradition rules does not apply to the ICC, but there may be other international conventions or agreements that the Philippines is a party to that may apply. But again, they have not identified which of these possible conventions, which of these conventions, if any, would be applicable.
Wala naman international conventions, Mr. President. As a matter of fact, the Philippines just withdrew from the Rome Statute. Anong basis nila ngayon? Ang nakalagay po sa ating, meron po tayong batas Republic Act 9851 po yata yun, if I'm not mistaken. Na pwede mo lamang mag-i-process for extradition or surrender or whatever it is. First of all, what is the difference between surrender and extradition? Except for the spelling, Mr. President.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. I was clarifying with the indulgence of the senator.
Yes.
What was the?
Ano po yung pagkakaiba bukod sa spelling ng extradition at surrender in the context of Republic Act 9851?
Well, the international humanitarian law is a law applicable to the Philippines. And it's between the state and its citizens as well as other parties, while the extradition treaty is a treaty between two states. So surrender or extradition will take different meanings given these three or four different how do you call it, rules. So rules on extradition proceeding will be is defined thereat, while the international humanitarian law in terms of surrender under that law will also be defined by the provisions of that law.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, if I will disagree. Yung extradition, mabagal po yun. Yung surrender, mabilis. Kaya po nang ginawa kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Does the principle of complementarity allow the Philippines to decline surrender on the ground that domestic institutions are able and willing to investigate and prosecute?
Yes, the court administrator is constrained to reply with the questions, a number of the questions raised, but she assures the good senator that she will answer as best she can, given the limitations that the matter is sub judice. And we have three justices of the Supreme Court present here who are currently hearing a number of cases by petitioner, our colleague, Senator Bato de la Rosa. So in that regard, they beg the indulgence of the good senator that it being sub judice, they would refrain from giving opinions outside of the rules on extradition proceedings.
Mr. President, am I made to understand that we can only request for, let's say, clarifications or answers lingering in our minds from the court in the actual litigation and not in a case like this where this is also a good chance to be able to take advantage of the teaching function of the Supreme Court. Kailangan bang nasa korte tayong lahat and there is an active case being litigated? Is this not a proper forum for the Supreme Court to also advise us, to help us in the context of being able to, let's say, lay down the foundation of a budget that will cater to most people?
In this case, according to the court administrator, they are not. They are prohibited from of issuing opinions on a case that is pending before it, and that they are limited to rendering opinions within the parameters and framework of the pending case.
Bakit naman parang selective, Mr. President? Alam po ninyo, napakaraming mga ongoing cases. Yung mga abogado po, palagi pong napagsasabihan, lalo na po yung mga trial lawyers na yung ating sub judice. Talaga pong, kung kayo po ay nag-aaral pa lang ng batas, first year ka pa lang, alam nyo na yung sub judice. Talagang, Sir President, pangangatawanan mo yan eh. Pagka ang isang kaso ay talagang dinidinig na, huwag kayong magko-comment. Estudyante ka pa lang, ha? Huwag kang magko-comment. Kasi baka napakagaling mo, ma-influensya mo yung Korte Suprema. Di ba, Mr. President? We rely on the objectivity, the competence, and the fortitude of the members of the Supreme Court. They are there because of that. May-influensya mo po ba? Can we influence the good justices of the Supreme Court?
It is not a matter of whether the justices can be influenced or not, but more that if they issue opinions outside of the process that is of the case that is pending, that it may affect their standing in terms of the perception that they may be partial for one or another party. So therefore, they refrain from providing legal opinions on matters that are sub judice.
Hindi po ganun ang aking pagkakaintindi, Mr. President. Ang mga justices ng Korte Suprema, kahit nasan sila, kahit nasa palengke sila, nasa punerarya, kung nasa man, hindi magbabago yun. Ang batas palaging ganun. Kahit anong sabihin natin, our opinion will not even matter. Ang pinag-uusapan natin ay kung paano tayo makakahingi ng konting tulong sa kanila upang lahat ng ating alalahanin ngayon, para hindi nagtatalo-talo, halimbawa, mabigyan nyo na kami ng pangunahing guideline, halimbawa. Bakit naman po kung, halimbawa, retired justice na ng Korte Suprema, aktibo yung kaso, pinag-uusapan pa lang. Meron silang column sa dyaryo. Pero nagsusulat pa rin sila eh. Pero sila yung unang nagsabi sa amin, wag ninyo yuyurakan ng sub judice. Mananagot kayo dyan. Pero kapag ka sila, dahil ba retiradong Supreme Court justices na sila, malaya na silang magkomento? Ano yun, tinuturo ninyo? Hindi rin nangyayari. Meron po mga double standards, Sir President. Salamat po. Magpapasalamat na lamang po ako dahil sa napagbigyan ako na ang aking pong mga staff, Mr. President, ay pinayagan ng ating court administrator. Mabigyan sila ng pagkakataon na sa tulong po ng clerk of court ng RTC na pinag-uusapan natin, mahimay nila po yung mga dokumento para sa ganon ay masettle po natin ang usaping ito at madali nating matuntun po talaga ang tunay na pangyayari sa likod ng kontrobersy na bumalot doon sa isang notaryadong dokumento. Maraming salamat po sa panahon, Mr. President, Mr. Chair, maraming salamat po sa inyo.